You know, man, look, everybody knows I'm a Celtics fan. Let's get that out of the way real quick. I had forgotten what it really felt like to be super caught up in a playoff game where your team is in it and you're just like, this is not healthy to go through this many emotions. Between I thought the game was over, like in the middle of the third, they come roaring back, and then a bunch of things happen. Let's get into it. Real quick, I know I usually don't get on the officiating. That one where Tatum pushed off a Maxey, that should have been an offensive foul, and the charge they called with Marcus on Embiid. I mean, his right foot was planted, his left foot was still moving a little bit. I guess technically you can kind of make whatever case you want to make. Personally, I kind of thought it was a little more of a block, but what do I know? I guess we go over the craziness of the end, and then we can talk about the game overall. So, as far as the last, 30 seconds for the Celtics or whatever, so we had Joel in the post, and then Jalen helped pretty aggressively out of the corner with Harden one pass away, and then he, tried to close out like crazy. And I guess what I would love to know there is, was that just the plan all along? Like, we're just going to help from that corner regardless of who it is standing there? Because from Philly's perspective, it's smart to put Harden in that spot because it puts that defender in a very tough predicament there. Now, at the same time, it's because Harden made the shot. Like, if he doesn't make the shot, then I don't know what the conversation becomes otherwise. But to be honest, man, it just kind of felt like they were conceding something that they didn't really have to concede. And I get it, the shot went in. Maybe I'm just being too prisoner of the results, but yeah. I mean, I get it, right? He's the closest guy to it. If you're going to bring help somewhere else and somebody's got to travel more distance, it creates more of an opportunity for something to go wrong, but also it's a worse shooter you're potentially leaving open, like especially if it's PJ Tucker, who I believe was in the opposite corner. I don't know. And then the Celtics not calling timeout, which to me, like, the not calling timeout isn't necessarily horrible if you then follow it up with something good on the other end. And, okay, they ran the Derek White, Jason Tatum screen, which, I mean, they were having a lot of success having Tatum screen or having guys screen for Tatum to get like a maxi switch or whatever in the fourth quarter in the overtime. Cool. But they just took way too long. And I think once it got to the point where there was like 7 seconds left, then you got to call timeout and be like, all right, we're not getting into anything right now. Let's call time. Let's set something up. You know what I mean? And when you're down 1 point with 15 seconds left, like, you're not supposed to do the whole walk it up court, take our time thing. Like, you got to go for something, Within that overtime, we also saw Joel eventually make a turnaround jumper over Horford. Horford was giving Embiid hell and then some throughout the fourth quarter and overtime, whether it be blocking his face-up jumpers or he blocked him once when he was helping off of PJ Tucker, or there was like 1 or 2 plays there where Joel just kind of hesitated with Horford on him, or like Horford would be in like a kind of a high drop to be there for Joel when he would typically just get the pull-up jumper off of a dropping big off of the Harden screen, of course. But still, Joel, he did get that one turnaround over him, so we give him credit. Horford then had that off-ball foul on Joel, which I'm pretty sure he got the 2 free throws there, and that was kind of the overtime for you. Now, to look at the overall game, I mean, for a good chunk of this, man, it seemed like Harden was able to be much more comfortable in this one. He was much better than his last couple of games, and, some of that, like, I remember a step-back 3 over Marcus. I remember a pull-up 3 on the right wing where Horford was in, a bit of a drop, and he wasn't up there fast enough, and he was able to get the daylight to shoot it. But also, it seemed like there were more possessions where he was able to get like Jalen off of him, or they would switch it and he was able to get like Brogdon on him or whatever, and that allowed him to get a little more comfortable. It seemed like he was a little more aggressive versus the drop. Like, I remember one time when they were dropping with Horford and Harden, he saw the little bit of daylight he had, he just went like full force into him. Not in an offensive foul kind of way, but a physical, legal drive. And of course, with Harden, there was also that one in the fourth where he tied it up, where he had that floater where he got the Horford switch. I don't think they were switching like crazy onto Harden. I don't remember Horford being switched onto him a lot, but that was one of the times at least. So besides Harden just being better, for lack of a other description, I do think he was also able to get himself some more favorable matchups, like away from Jalen, who was really hounding him at points for games 2 and 3 especially. For the Celtics, well, I do think for chunks of this game, we saw their worst habits defensively, or offensively, I should say, where it's kind of slow or, not enough attacking off the dribble when you can, a few too many quick shots. I mean, certainly Philly's switching and their effort defensively and all that was good. But I do think when they leaned into just some more movement stuff, like I remember a Jalen ghost screen for Tatum that led to a 3, which was kind of like the second big shot of the, wait a minute, are the Celtics about to come back in the fourth quarter? And then, yeah, I remember just a whole bunch of Tatum screening for guards screening for Tatum, whether that's, the Marcus Smart Tatum pick and roll on either side, which has always been successful for them. I remember Jalen screening for Marcus once, and he rejected the screen. And, PJ Tucker was on the other side of the screen. Harden wasn't able to get around it. Marcus got a 3-point play out of that. Pretty sure on one of those Tatum pick and rolls, he was able to get a maxi switch, and then he spun off of him in the post. And I don't remember what happened from there, to be honest. I think it might have been like a Marcus Smart corner 3. But basically for the Celtics, they took too long to be the best version of themselves. Of course, credit to Philly. Obviously the desperation was on their side being down 2-1. Also want to credit PJ Tucker for that one offensive rebound, put back 3-point play. I don't remember the play around it. Apologies, I don't remember every single second once the game got crazy, but I do remember that result for PJ. So where do we go from here? Well, we go to a very intense Game 5 in Boston, and I think at this point in this series, I think we know all the questions, Can Harden get some daylight around mostly Jaylen Brown in this series, whether that's getting him switched off of him or whatever? Can Horford handle Embiid in one-on-ones? I mean, Horford's still not on him every single possession, but he was on him more in the fourth. Also, the Sixers shot making around when they bring extra attention on Joel. I remember one great one where Joel hits Niang basically instantly on the opposite wing for a three. That stuff matters, of course. Will the Celtics not fall into some of their bad habits that, again, Philly playing hard, no doubt, but between playing too slow at times or just not having a plan on offense, it seems sometimes, of course, just Tatum screening for someone screening for him, especially when it's like more of a guard or whatever. Same thing goes for Jaylen. I mean, at this point, we've seen the best and worst version of both of these teams in this series.